Hi everyone, my name is Alpha Freeman and welcome to the Next Gen Talk, guys. I'm really excited to have you guys on board today. I know it's been a while. You guys haven't seen me on the show. I've been quite busy with a lot of recruitments, with a lot of things with personal life. But hey, I'm happy to be back here to share and have some new and exciting episodes coming aboard for you guys, okay? Today my guest is very interesting, and I think this topic is gonna tap into a lot of people's psychographics and try to get you to understand, what's going on in today's economy. How's business or how's life, things of that nature. I have Mr. Vangelis on board. All right, guys. He's going to talk more about today's microwave success because I believe a lot of times, people are working on certain projects. You see success and then you realize, success takes a process you have to go through. You have an idea today, but you want it to be possible tomorrow, and all these things are happening in people's world. And Mr. Vangelis is going to touch base on the patience mechanism, today's micro success that we have in regards to the social media outlets that's out there. Having to compare yourself to other people. If you're a business owner, or if you're just a young entrepreneur, somebody who's well experienced in today's business, you know. So, nevertheless, listen to Mr. Vangelis. Mr. Vangelis, if you can please go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
Well, thank you so much, Alpha, for having me on and inviting me.
You're
Just a little bit
welcome.
about my background. I was born in Greece. I was put into an orphanage when I was 6 months old, adopted by a German family. That's why I was asking you earlier to speak German, because German is my second language. And I grew up in San Antonio, Texas. I learned English in school, and San Antonio has a large Mexican population, so I also speak Spanish. And I really wanted to do music. My mom gave me an Elvis Presley album when I was 4 years old. And that ignited this. I guess I already had some musical passion in me and ignited it. And I wanted to do just what he did. I wanted to sing, I wanted to dance, I wanted to be in movies, travel the world touring. And my first grade teacher told my mother to give me piano lessons. So I took 10 years of classical music. And when I was 17, I was already playing with studio musicians. So Al, that's what I really want to do in life. But, and this goes into what I think we're going to talk about today, I was in a very restrictive environment,
Hmm.
extremely restrictive environment. And basically everything was dictated to me. Do this, think like that. And
Right.
when I got into high school and I wanted to talk to the counselors about job opportunities, I said, "Well, I want to do music," and they said, "That's not a career."
They always
So,
say that. They always
but
say that.
that's what I want to do. And then and my parents said, "Well, no, you got to have a job." Well, I've been playing as a musician for several years now, and I went everywhere. I was in luxury hotels. I played for Van Cliburn's cocktail
Wow.
party when he opened the Mort Meyerson Theater in Dallas, and I was like the piano player in San Antonio. And I was 17, playing with people in their 40s and 50s. And I said, "Well, I'm already doing it." "Yes, but it's not a career." So I wasn't one of those people that pushed back, because I was taught, you listen to your elders, you listen to your pastor, you listen to your teachers, you listen to all these things. And otherwise, you were labeled rebellious and resistant. And so I did not follow my dreams. That was when I started not living my life. And that's really
Mm.
one of the themes that I speak with people is, are you living your life? Are your dreams and your goals your definitions? Because people will say, take action. Well, I was taking action on things that I did not have a desire to do.
Uh,
And I was really good at what I did. I mean, I was certified, traveled the world. People say, "Oh, you must love what you do." I say, "Well, it's okay. It's not my passion." And so for the first 50 years of my life, I was not living me. I was living what
mm.
everyone expected, what everyone dictated, what everyone wanted me to do, thought, "Well, this is the best." And they said, "Well, you can always do music." Well, you're not 17, but only once. And so I just continued on that road of getting better at what I didn't want to do, getting more entrenched, because you have to study, you have to take tests, you get
Right.
certified, people get to know you. And so part of what I really would like people to think is, are your beliefs your beliefs? Are you living your life? Are your definitions your definitions? Because people would ask me, what do you want to do? I said, no one ever asked me that. Everything I
Mm,
wanted to do was not good, forbidden. It was not a career. So part of being able to figure out what you want to do is really think, are you thinking about your stuff, or is this the beliefs and definitions of other people? So that's the first thing that I want to really tap on, Alpha, because
right.
you'll spend your whole life. And what happened was I'm living in this $1.3 million home in California on a hill with an ocean view, making over $250 a year, and I'm empty. I feel unfulfilled.
Whoa.
I feel trapped. And interesting, all those 30 years of traveling every week, I mean, every week, I come home Friday, leave Saturday, 30 years, because that was my job, to go to companies all over the world, every country, every continent, and help them deploy networking, data centers, artificial intelligence. I had a DoD security clearance. I was in military bases. I taught rocket scientists at Cape Canaveral. I mean, I had FBI, CIA, I had all these people. They were all my students, and I would do these deployments. And so I
Wow.
traveled the world, and here I am thinking, I feel trapped, because how can I tell people when I'm living in this house and I got this success that I feel empty? And they would say, well, you should be grateful.
True.
Well, I am, but and so I met thousands of people in my travels that felt the same thing. And they would take me aside at the end of a deployment or a workshop, and they would say, I'm supposed to be happy, but I'm just not. I go, I know how you feel. Really? Oh, absolutely. And I would work with them and help them, but it was for free because that's not why they hired me. And so then so many people told me in so many years, you should do this as a full-time job. And I thought, okay, so 3 years ago, that's when I changed careers, so to speak, and started doing things that I want to do. So I think the patience part that you're talking about is the patience is to give yourself time so you can get your own vision.
Mm.
Yeah.
I want to understand something, Mr. Vangelis, because you mentioned earlier in regards to, when you were younger, you wanted like be a musician and you waited like 50 years, right? So what actually was holding you back for that time period? Because 50 years is a long time.
Yeah, and that's a really good question because people say, well, how can you not think for yourself?
Right.
Well, well, it wasn't until I started reading about your brain and your mind, which, by the way, are two different things. And your brain, when you know how people always say what happened in the first 8 years of your life? I never knew why they asked that, but now I know. Because
Mm,
there's four brain states. There's the delta, the theta, the alpha, and the beta. Beta is right now you and I. We're like really awake. Okay. And alpha is right before you go to sleep and right when you wake up. And then the theta is the dream state. And then the delta is you're not dreaming, you're like as close to spirit, God, universe as you possibly can be. So now, my partner, she has two grandchildren, and one of them is 2 years old, one of them is one. And I got to be there right when they were born. And when you hold up a newborn baby, their eyes cannot focus because they don't know what they're looking at.
right.
Okay, they have no database, they have no experience, they have no vocabulary, they cannot articulate anything. They feel, but they don't know what they're feeling, and they see, but they don't know what they're seeing. Now, this is how I actually taught scientists how to create an AI model, artificial intelligence model, because a machine is the same way. It does not know anything. So a child and a machine, that you could teach both of them, 3 + 3 is 7, they wouldn't know that's not correct because they have no reference, nothing. Okay, so a person is born in the delta state, nothing. You're like, because you just came out of the womb. You're like as
Right.
close to God, spirit, universe as you possibly can be. Okay. And then when you get to about the age of 2, your brain, because now you are physiologically developing, and now your brain has the capacity of going to the next state, which is the theta state. This is where you download volumes of information. All you're doing is just downloading. So like a machine, you're just inputting millions of pieces of information. The machine's unbiased. It doesn't judge anything. The child doesn't either. If you tell a child you're brilliant, okay. You're stupid, okay. Because there's no filtering yet. There's no analytical capability yet. It's just inputting. So if you teach a child whatever you want to teach them, you know how sometimes they say, give me a child and they're mine for life, the first 8 years? That's because whatever you tell them gets locked into their subconscious. Whatever it is.
Powerful.
But it's beautiful if you told them you're brilliant. If like someone told you out, whatever you do, you're gonna be successful. Okay, yeah, you will win all the time. Okay. Like you will be able to do whatever you want to do. You focus on it, it's done. Oh my gosh, yeah. You know people that can't win and you know people that can't lose. Right? Okay. So now when they get to about 8 years old, then another thing kicks in. They're now in the alpha state. And the alpha state is where they start, it's like the hypnagogic state is now, it's like, you know how people are in the zone when you're playing sports? They go, man, I couldn't miss.
It's hard to explain.
Yeah, that's because they're in that alpha state. They're not sleeping, but they're not totally like what you and I are doing right now. Right. It's like 30 minutes before you go to bed and 30 minutes after you wake up. Okay. And that is the most, it's where you're suggesting things and now you can really dig down and dig deep into things, because this is where a lot of people, they get creative on stuff. Now, about 9 or 10, that's when the conscious mind, the filter, the analyzer gets formed. Now, and I know exactly when it happened. I was 9 years old. My mom said, don't go outside, it's cold. Don't go outside without a coat on or you might catch the flu. So I'm thinking, okay, outside without a coat, it's cold, it's okay. So then the summer comes around and I catch the flu. And I'm thinking, oh, wait a second. That doesn't match. And now my analytical mind says, my mom doesn't know what she's talking about. Everything she says, I better check it out. But I didn't do that the first 8 years. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. That reminds me, because a lot of time they say when kids are between the ages of like 2 to 8, you always want to show them so much love and compassion, because that time their brain is so young to the point it determines them for the rest of their life in regards to what they're going to be doing.
Exactly.
All right. So if you impose fear on them, they're going to be fearful and not willing to take that risk in life. But if you say, you know, I love you, you're going to be great, you're going to do wonderful things, they're going to be fearless. And I think that's something in today's generation, and parents and also as a whole need to understand how that plays a whole. Because a lot of kids, when this COVID stuff happened and they were stayed home, they didn't know how to like actually mentally unlock that and just try to figure out like what to do or how they actually get up and do the thing that they want to do. But deep inside, they feel as if some sense of they're stuck, you know, per se, but they're not really stuck.
So that answers your question. How did you, well, because those first 8 years, all that was drilled into me is we know what's best for you. You listen to your elders and you don't push back. That was the conditioning.
Right.
I mean, and that's it. I mean, you got people that no matter what they do, that stuff is in their subconscious mind.
True.
Right. And so though it could be limiting beliefs, it could be sabotaging beliefs, whatever it is. Right. And see, I grew up, my parents took me to church. No. Okay. A religion is anything that indoctrinates you with beliefs. Some people's religion is their culture. Some people's religion could be their corporate world. Some people's religion could be their boss or whatever it is. My religion was this church, okay? And so you know how they tell you all these things, um, God's love is unconditional, right? And that always already got me because I said, well, if God's love is unconditional, then why do I have to accept Jesus? And why do I have to go to church? And why do I have to read the Bible? You
Sure.
said it's unconditional.
Yeah.
Well, and you see, in my 9-year-old mind, I'm thinking, you're not making sense to me. But remember, you can't push back.
True. You've been
Bad
conditioned.
things are going to happen. So here I am going, okay, I don't want the wrath of God on me or all this stuff, right? So I didn't do anything out of love. Everything was fear-based. I didn't accept Jesus because
Oh.
of God. I want to go to
Mhm.
hell.
So
That's
my
not love,
question
that's
then,
fear.
so for some kid who's actually going through that right now, because they don't want to do something because mentally they've been programmed since they were kids to do
Exactly.
things the right way. From the age of, 0 to like 8 years old. Now as an adult, you feel you have a great job, you're earning a lot of money, you're traveling the world, but yet you feel like as if you're not living within your true purpose. Like something is missing whatsoever. Now, what do you tell those people who are actually trying to figure out the best solution regarding to get unstuck and come back to reality and figure out their main purpose in life?
Well, the steps that I took were I had to believe that I could change my life. That was the primary first thing. Because see, I was taught that this external entity, everything was already planned out and there's nothing you do.
Mm,
It's already set. That's what I was taught. And so I was reading this book by Dr. Bruce Lipton, and it's called Biology of Belief. And in that book, he talks about how every one of our cells is an intelligent being, meaning our cells, the membrane is made up of the same material as the circuitry in a computer circuit board. And so that's programmable, and so are my cells. Because he did an experiment back in 1985 where he took the nucleus, the DNA out of a
I
cell,
separated it.
and everyone thought it was going to die. It didn't die. And they're like, oh, wait, well, then what's keeping the cell alive? It's the membrane is responding to stimulus. The DNA is only used if it needs to replicate.
Mm,
Oh, so that was like this big, huge realization. So then he said, nothing is fixed. And I thought, okay, so all the stuff I was told is all false. Exactly. There's nothing
exactly.
fixed. So then I said, well, that means that I can change things. Yes. Now, here's a question you have to ask yourself. If you don't believe that you can change things in your life, then why are you buying self-improvement books? Why are you attending seminars of self-improvement?
I have a Let me just answer this real quick, Mr. Vangelis. That's something I always tell people, because I'm sure you heard of David Goggins, right? The the guy who was like the strongest man in the world, whatever it is. He has a name for himself. Love his books. And he says something in regards to like, I might give you the spark to get up and do something by reading my book, but you can read a scripture, you can listen to an audio, you can go out and talk to all these conventions and like listen to all these motivational talks. Nevertheless, you actually have to do these things yourself. And if you don't put action into it, it's never going to work. That's
Exactly.
like I can visualize myself training. I can visualize myself walking down the street. But unless I get up and go out there and train and walk down the street, then I will actually see results. And I think that comfort zone in regards to people not believe in themselves because they see as if I don't have what it takes, but really they do, but they don't want to believe in that myth that's been telling themselves. It's like a mental thing. You have to literally untrain your brain process, your cell membranes, and allow yourself to actually make a mistake because people are scared of two things: fear of failure and fear of success. But nevertheless, I think most importantly, as an athlete, when I think about the sports world, a lot of kids, when they say, okay, I want to score this amount of goal, or I want to be a starting player, or I want to make it to this top level, they have that vision. But when they see the work that goes on behind the scenes, they don't want to do it. When they see the commitment that goes on behind the scenes, they don't want to put that work in. And that same thing comes into play in regards to like having a dream or having to do something because like we stated earlier, ever since you were adolescents, you've been basically programmed to behave a certain way. So when it's time for you to actually start doing things that you want to do, you don't feel comfortable because your whole life you've been told, I need to stay in this line. If I do anything outside of this line, I might be doing, I don't feel comfortable. And not realizing that the comfort zone and not feeling comfortable being outside your comfort zone actually makes things much more worthy. And the more you get used to it, the more you start doing it, and the easier it gets, and it becomes a part of you.
Yeah, the one thing I want to offer people is people will say, I just want more discipline. You have discipline.
Oh
Here's
yeah.
here's how you know you have discipline. How many of you, let's say you're going to work and you're working at a place you don't like, and you've been going there for 5 years. It takes discipline to go to a job you don't like. How many of you are in relationships that you just don't want to be in? I mean, you've been in there for 5 years. It takes a lot of discipline to be in a relationship you don't want. How many of you play sports that you don't really want to play? That takes so everyone has discipline. So we can put that to rest. Okay, so you don't need more discipline, right? And then really well, if I have discipline, then what's the deal? It's my beliefs. See, one of the things that really changed me was, again, I told you I grew up in church. So, if you want to change things, prayer, okay? And if you want to change,
Yeah.
then the positive movement came up. And then the visualization movement came, and then the vision boards came, and then the binaural movement came, and then the 3x5 cards came in, all this stuff, right? So if you do all these things, okay, and I could do something for 1,000 days in a row and not miss a day. So I had the discipline down, okay? And for years, really decades, I didn't see much. And then I met this guy, right? He opens the garage and there's this 1964 Mustang, like number 5, okay? I said,
Mm.
I thought you don't like American cars. I don't. Well, why do you have this Mustang here? Well, a guy down the road, he was trying to sell it and he couldn't get anyone to buy it. So he says, do you want it? So I gave it to you for free. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let me ask you a question. So you didn't pray for this? No. And you weren't positive because you don't like them? No. I'm sure you didn't put on your vision board, what's that? And you didn't visualize it? No. So all these things I've been told that you got to do to manifest is all false? I guess. So I'm thinking, okay, what is the difference between this guy and my beliefs? He didn't have a block of receiving. He didn't have a block of, is he worthy to get something for free that's worth $70,000? He didn't have a block of, I don't have to do anything. You know what I mean? See, so we're taught, you've got to do this and this and
Yes.
this. And you're like, that's not true. Now, I'm not saying don't have a vision board and have visual. I'm not saying don't do those. All
Mm.
I'm saying is that is not a requirement. Because if it was, haven't you seen people that win the lottery? He goes, so, sir, you win the lottery. Is this the first time you played? Yeah, my wife told me to do it. So I didn't want to play the damn game. Wait. Okay. You didn't pray for it. You didn't have it on your vision board. In fact, you didn't even want to do it, and you got it. You see what I'm saying now? So all
Yes.
the things that everyone tells you have to do is not true. Because if it was, these people would not receive anything. That was a pivotal day. Because when I thought, so it's my beliefs, it's my sabotaging thoughts. Exactly. So that's what I started working on. So these people, Al, I'm saying this story so that people will go, well, I just can't get myself motivated. That's because you got limiting beliefs and sabotaging thoughts. And if you start working on those, and that's what I do, is I work with people, CEOs, executives, whoever, has these things. They're successful, they got money, but their life is just as empty and unfulfilled as can be because of
Mm.
all this stuff. See? So I help people to realize you can change and that there's thoughts that are probably inside you that are creating your life and running your life that you don't even know about. And the third thing that I did was I was honest with myself, which is a very difficult thing. Not honest with others, with me, right? I have several mentors that I work with, and that's the fourth thing. You got to have someone. You see, I can see your blind spots, Al, and you can see mine, but I can't see mine. The eye cannot see the eye. It has to have
True.
some outside. So you got to work with somebody that has a safe environment where you can be vulnerable and open up. And that's where the honesty comes in. So do you like it? No, I don't like my life. Okay. What do you feel? So you start expressing these things and you start and not judging yourself for expressing them. I know I should be grateful, but forget about that. Forget about God and all this stuff. Okay. Just be honest with yourself. Because when you get the judger that says you should be grateful, then you're back where you were. Does that make sense?
Hmm. That makes a lot of sense. This is the first time I'm actually hearing something like this. Because a lot of times people always say like, have a vision board, have your life all planned out, and basically just know where you're going, because you don't want to be like a ship just running around everywhere and running out of fuel whatsoever. Now, I'm hearing a different side of things here, Mr. Vangelis, in regards to actually saying, you know what, we tend to have limits and beliefs that we've already been programming in our subconscious mind, and that's sometimes what's stopping us from actually doing the things that we want to do. Like you mentioned earlier, there's CEOs, people who are really wealthy and successful, but yet they feel empty inside. And is it because of that belief that, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do that, you got to have this, and that. And once you already have that taken care of, you still feel some kind of emptiness. Is that enough to say, or is it something more of like a spiritual, or what is it? I'm still trying to understand here.
Yeah. Well, to most of it, okay, I'll give you another example. When I was 9 years old, my dog got run over and got killed. Okay. And so I'm out. I come back into the house and I'm crying. My mom says, "Stop crying." So you mean don't express myself, basically, right?
Right.
So I started ignoring my feelings. I began to disconnect from myself. All right. So the other thing that I had to do was to start getting to know me. Now, there are several parts to us. There's our soul, which you could say it's our spirit, our divinity, our source, okay? And then there's that consciousness that gets built around 8 or 9. Okay, everybody comes in with a subconscious because you have to know how to breathe and go to the bathroom and all that stuff. Every baby knows that. Those are all things that are automatic. But that conscious mind is that analyzer. So you've got your soul, which is observing, your soul is experiencing through this body. And so that conscious mind is the one where all the stuff gets put into. Those are all your beliefs, right? Your mental ideas and concepts and stuff. And so when you start realizing that none of that stuff is you, that's when you realize, so I'm really, yeah, what you are, you're not a pilot, you're not a baseball player, you're not a father, you're not a mother, you're not a brother. Those are all labels that
Mm.
have rules and certain activities associated to them. You're none of those things. Because what if you're playing baseball this year and then all of a sudden you're playing soccer the next year and then you're playing, well, I thought you were a soccer player. Well, you see, those are just activities with a label. So, and then you were talking about being pigeonholed earlier, right?
Right.
That's because people put labels and you have to live according to that label. Well, who made those rules? Right? Who made the rule that this is what a person with that label does? Somebody.
True.
And then the rules change. So I don't like labels. Are you vegan? No. I eat these foods, but don't label me because if I go to a friend's house and they have something that's not vegan, I'm not a policeman that goes, that's, you see what I mean? It's people feel when people do that because they want to be able to predict, and that makes them feel better. If I can predict what you're going to do, Al, for some reason I feel safe and secure. But if you do something outside of what I labeled you, now I don't feel comfortable. So this is
Mm.
where you give people the freedom to be what they are. And so that way now people can be honest with themselves and say, I really don't want to go to that movie. Okay, great. See, we think that we are doing what we really want to do. But as soon as I say, well, did you want to go there? No. Well, why did you? Well, I didn't want them to get mad.
True.
Okay.
A lot of
So
times.
You did what I did for the first 50 years of my life. You didn't want the wrath of all the people around you. So you became apathetic, passive, or whatever you want. But inside you're going,
Well, that's actually something that's really powerful because there's a lot of people living a life that they don't want to live, but somehow they don't know how to like unstuck themselves, you know,
exactly.
and they feel as
That's what I
if
say. Are you living your life now?
exactly. And I'm trying to understand here because it makes a lot of sense. Like currently I'm living here in Frankfurt, Germany. Even though I grew up in Columbus, Ohio, grew up there, you know, and a lot of my friends always asking me this question, hey, what are you doing? Like, do you want to stay here in Columbus? Because after I graduated from college, I was a banker, but something inside of me told me I wasn't happy. It sounds good, it looks good. Like, obviously you're earning a good income but it's just like, this is not me. Am I doing this for my parents or am I doing this for myself? Like at some point you have to realize, and I'm not saying to quit your job or anything whatsoever. I'm not by all means necessary. But once you start to realize, you know what, life is too short, and if I have an opportunity to go do something, I'll go out there and go do it. And I'm not really gonna think about what he said or what they said and just go with this thing called faith. And I think in today's world, a lot of us tend to ignore the faith mechanism, that gut feeling that's inside of you, that separates the realities from not knowing, not seeing, but just believing. And a lot of times people don't really listen to that anymore, because
Yeah,
again,
well, it's interesting you say it because, people ask the guy that's Richard Branson, they'll say,
yeah,
so what do you do? What do you read? What statistics? He goes, well, I read stuff, but I go by my gut. Well, what do you mean? Well, I go by my gut, how I feel, what my intuition says. Even
true,
Laura in Shark Tank, she says most of the time I know what I'm going to do before they even walk in because she just has her gut feeling. See, we're taught to ignore those things. You know, uh, Feelings, it's analytics and statistics and stuff. And this is why a lot of times we miss things. So I plan based on what I'm inspired to do. And sometimes, like I'll say, okay, the thought, read this book. Okay. I read the book, and then 2 weeks later, someone asks me a question. That's why I read that book. I didn't plan that. You can't plan synchronicities.
you can't,
you know but if you're in tune, see, if you are connected to yourself, which I said earlier, I disconnected because I wasn't allowed to express. When you start connecting to yourself now and you start trusting yourself, going, I really think I need to do this. Okay, then you do that, and there are no mistakes. They're
true,
just things that you realized, okay, that resulted in this because I thought of this, and maybe I was supposed to go there. And if I have expectations and then something doesn't work out, that doesn't mean I made a mistake, right? I mean, you can't look at failures and mistakes as something bad. You just say, oh, that didn't happen like I thought, but it happened the way it was supposed to. You got to believe that. And you have to start having, you said, faith in yourself. See, I had faith in everyone external to me. That's why I didn't live my life. I was rebellious to me and faithful to everybody out there. Now I'm faithful to me and rebellious to them. Nope, don't want to. Oh, sorry.
so Mr. Vangelis, what you just said earlier, that exactly, how do people actually gain that faith in themselves? Because that's the problem, where I feel as if they still try to understand the solution to that. How do I gain that faith? Because if you're walking around, people telling you you can't do this, you can't do that, and today we live in a negative world. You turn your news, it's just negative. Everything around you is just negative, for God's sake. And you're telling
Well,
me about faith?
exactly. That's why those steps I gave. The first step, you got to believe you can change things. See, faith is the evidence of things not seen, right? Things
Exactly.
hoped for, right? So your faith in yourself, you have to start thinking, well, I can change things. Yes. Okay. So if I believe I can change things and I start practicing, and then I just have faith that whatever I do is what I'm supposed to do, that builds my faith, right? And so then the number two thing we talked about was, once you learn that you can change things, then you have to realize, what are my beliefs? Are they mine or someone else? Because if you're following belief, is it your belief you're following? See, okay, I can change things. I start practicing, and now I start getting my faith. Now, are my beliefs mine? Am I really pursuing what I want to pursue? If I'm not,
True.
remember, I realize I can change things. That's why the change thing comes first. And then what am I believing? Then once you believe, then the third thing is, let me be honest with myself. Do I want to do this anymore? No. But there's sometimes we do things that we like, well, this is a stepping stone to what I really want to do. So my inspiration says, do this next. Okay. And then I do that next, and then, oh, okay, that's why that happened. Now I'm back to my faith. In here, see, I didn't even recognize my voice inside because I was always having faith in the voices outside. So I had to start recognizing my voice. And once I recognized my voice, and again, you have to work with somebody. Like I said, I have three people. I met a lady back in 2016 at a workshop. And the thing that I don't like about a lot of workshops and books, they tell you what to do. Be positive, stop doing this. My
Yeah,
question,
always.
how? That's why I'm glad you asked me, how do they do this? Because that's the key, Al. It's don't tell me what to do. Show me how. So she and I got together and we met every week for the next 7 years, every week. And all we did was, okay, what got you irritated? What got you frustrated? What triggered you? What provoked you? Every week. 1 week was me, 1 week was her. And we know that is intimacy, vulnerability. Okay. It's can you share your deepest, darkest things that are inside you that, before you were judged, and now you're like, no, I'm sharing this because this has to come out.
True.
So that those are the things. If that's what I followed, and it's just tremendous because now you got someone to work with that can see and help you. Now all of those things build your faith out. And you got anyone listening, you can listen to this recording again. So those are the things that if you follow those, that really helps you with having faith in yourself, confidence in yourself, and as a sports person or a CEO or anything, the difference between Harvard Business Review did a study years ago. The difference between executives and non-executives is their intuition, not their culture, not their training, not their schooling. It's intuition.
Intuition.
Intuition is hearing
Exactly.
you, feeling you, seeing you, knowing you. Those are like, clairvoyant,
Yeah.
being able to see, claircognizant, knowing, clairsentient, feeling, clairaudient, hearing, and speaking. So those are
Then
all those things.
I want to know then what happens to those people who don't have the, you know, the person to talk to about these things.
Well, that's why
Where can
you
they
have the
get that?
podcast.
Oh, of course.
Right. Hey, you can contact me. If what we talked about rings in you, resonates with you, and you go, oh my gosh, that's me too, then
Definitely.
contact me. I have a website. It's called Mind Your Health Academy, mindyourhealthacademy.com. And I named it that because mind your health, like in England, they say mind the gap, meaning pay attention.
Hmm.
Pay attention to your health. And it's not just this, it's the health of your thoughts, the health of your body, the health of your life, right? So mind your health, pay attention. And then the other part of it is mind is your health. Whatever's in your mind
Is your
is
health.
where your health is. Yeah. So
Okay.
that's in my website.
I want to tap on something really quick here, Mr. Vangelis. Let's say someone who grew up in a very tough situation throughout the adolescent time period between the age of 0 to 8, in a rough neighborhood or bad parenting. Not everyone is the same whatsoever. And now that person is trying their best as an adult just to get their head, their mind, everything back into action and say, I want to do this, whatever demons has been told, whatever lies has been said to me whatsoever. How do I overcome that thought process? Because my mind is just so claustrophobic with so much fear, so much anger, so much rage. What do I do?
Well, you said it earlier. You have to get someone to help you because you're not gonna see when you're in something, you can't see it from the outside.
True.
You can always help someone else, but then that's why I have three mentors that I work with because I can't see my blind spots. That's why they call it a blind spot. You know how you're driving a car and all of a sudden, oh
Yeah.
my God, how did I miss that
Yeah.
18 wheeler?
You
It's an
can see
18
it right
wheeler,
here.
right? It's a blind spot. And so but the first thing is, if you don't see that you're valuable enough to invest in yourself, then you're in a catch-22. And I've had people in that scenario where they said, well, I'm not worth it. Well, okay, you want to feel like you're worth it? Well, yeah, I'd like to. Okay, all right. And so this is what I tell people. I charge because I want to encourage you to invest in yourself. I did all this stuff for free for almost 20 years. No one took it seriously because didn't have any skin in the game, right? Nothing. But when something is like, well, if you don't do it, it's $1,000. Okay.
Oh.
You see what I mean? But if I
Hmm.
charge $100, it's $100. Well, to a person in Nigeria, $100 is a lot.
It's a lot of money.
To a lot of these other people that make a lot of money. So when I was doing my technology stuff, somebody would call me and they'd say, our network is down. Can you come out and fly out here to Chicago? And I'd say, well, can I speak with the CFO? I want to know how much money you guys make in an hour. And the CEO would get on the phone and say, we make about $1 million an hour. So how long have you been down? 16 hours. Okay, so you've not been able to make 16 million. Correct. Okay, and here's my price. I don't have a set price. Because if you told me you make $1,000 an hour, well, I'm going to charge you differently than $1 million an hour. And one of my customers was Goldman Sachs. They make $1 million a second. So you see what I mean?
Crazy.
And so a lot of these companies that I would work for, I would say, I don't have a set price. Tell me if I go out there and I fix this thing and help you resolve this problem, if I don't go out there, you lost $16 million more. So if I charge you $50,000
Oof.
to come out and you go, well, that's a lot of money, I'm going, seriously? 16 million, 50,000. Something is amiss here. You see what I mean? This
Right.
is where people don't see the value of things. We're talking about your life. There's got to
Yeah.
be some value more than $100 a month. You
It
see,
gotta
or
be.
$1,000. You see what I mean? And that's why it's helping people to realize how valuable people find the money. I know people that will buy season tickets instead of paying their mortgage. Whatever's important to you, this is the deal. You will spend time and money and energy on what is important to you. And we can help you learn that you are important enough. So that's really what
True.
it is.
And it's also you understand the value of you. And I think a lot of time most people don't really tend to understand that. Once you realize, you like doing the things that you like to do on a consistent basis, you tend to invest in that. You actually spend more time doing those kind of stuff. And it just comes down to you actually wanting to do it more. And a lot of times, most people tend to sit there and just wait, 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 wait for a perfect moment to come or for some magical thing to come down from the skies and help and rescue them. But they're not realizing, you don't need discipline, man. You just need to get up your butt and just do it. Literally.
Yeah. And that's a good point, Al. There's the only one who rescues you is you.
It's you.
That's it. The only one who rescues you
It's
is you.
you.
There's nobody else rescuing you because you have to believe enough in yourself to rescue yourself. But then again, number one, you have to believe you can change. You have to believe
Exactly.
you're the one that can change it, right? That's why that
Uh,
was critical for me.
redet mit mir in Deutsch oder in Englisch zusammen?
It, say it again.
Redet mit mir in Deutsch oder in Englisch?
We can do just English. Ich kann
Englisch.
Deutsch sprechen, aber ich muss erst denken. Okay.
Nee, nee, keine Sorge. Aber ich habe viele Leute hier auch in Deutschland
Ah,
zusammen
viele Leute
sprechen
in
in Deutsch.
Deutschland. Ja, das ist
Genau.
wichtig.
Aber das Problem jetzt, ich habe eine kleine Lösung. Äh, so viele Leute leben hier in Deutschland, aber das Problem ist, kann nicht Deutsch sprechen. Aber,
Ah,
aber es ist so viel mit der Angst sprechen mit anderen Leuten oder es
das ist
muss
wirklich
Deutschland.
wahr.
Es ist sehr, sehr stark.
Ja, das ist wirklich wahr.
Aber dann kommt's, arbeiten oder in neue Aufenthaltstitel zu bekommen. Äh, Bis wann erste Mal lebt hier in Deutschland? Für mich, ich habe kein Problem. Ich habe so viele Angst, bis wann durchsprechen. Dann, ich habe viele Freundinnen lebt hier auch, sprechen so sehr gut Englisch. Das Problem kommt, wann ich spreche durch mit diesen Leuten. Der hat gesagt, immer Englisch ist so einfach, aber Deutsch ist sehr stark. I mean, Deutsch is so schwer. And the reason why I actually just did that in German rather than do it in English, um, is because to show a lot of people that, I used to have a fear of speaking German because I did not sound like a native, or I did not, believe in myself at that time that I can do it. Now that I'm living here in Germany and I'm starting to have more confidence in myself, and I literally had to tell myself with all the classes I've been taking, I literally had to tell myself 100%, like, hey, I can do this. I had to change my thought process. And the minute I changed that thought process, that's when I started to speak it more. That's when I started to understand it more. That's when I started to love being here more, because at first it was just like, oh, I don't understand this. I can't do this. And I feel less. And people are telling you, you can't. You start to believe in those negative myths. And the same thing goes in regards to what we're talking about right now as we speak, in regards to that microable success. Obviously, you have to invest in the people around you, and you really have to talk to people about these things, because sometimes we don't really see ourselves at all. And that basically means you don't understand what's going on within yourself. You're afraid to tell a friend because that friend might judge you. You're afraid to talk to your parents about it because they might look at you like you're crazy, you know. But nevertheless, if you talk to somebody that's like, oh, I'm gonna open up myself to him and try to see, okay, I'm a human being, I'm a soft creature. I have problems, I have difficulties, I have doubts in myself at times, but yet I need to share those places. I mean, I need to share those thought processes, excuse me, in a place that allows me to actually be more comfortable within myself, but at the same time allow me to express myself in a much more open setting. And that's one of the reasons why with this talk show, Next Gen Talk, I love having people from all walks of life, all walks of ideas to share these kind of situations happening right now as we speak. Because what you just tapped on there, Mr. Vangelis, I have to admit, I myself was thinking twice. Like, I never actually thought about that way. This is the first time learning this and actually hearing this. I'm not making this up at all. Because a lot of times you've been told, oh, you have to do this. You have to go to college. Why? Because it's good for you. You have to get a medical degree. Why? Because it's safe. You've been taught to play it safe. So now you're an adult and you realize, you know what? I actually don't like it, or I feel empty. Yes, I'm earning a lot. I live a good life. My house is beautiful. Mortgages are paid. But why do I feel so empty inside? You know,
And and age is also a nothing also because I'm just now starting to live my life. And what is normal, right? Because people will tell you, well, as you age, this happens, this happens, this happens. And that is because that's what people say. I mean, I now I have a faster reaction time. My eyesight, actually, I have a chart on the wall, and I can see 2020 now. I couldn't 20 years ago. All right. So everything, as you clear things and remove all these false beliefs, everything changes so that now you're living your life, and that's actually the best way to do, anti-aging, because aging is when something is going against and not aligned with you. It's a stress. I don't want to do this, but I am. That's stress. But now, if you wake, I eat when I want. I eat when I'm hungry. I sleep when I'm tired. I work when I'm inspired. I didn't know that was even possible. That just
yeah, that's actually that's the first time I've heard that. That's actually got to be cool because it's just
right.
like, I eat when I'm hungry, I sleep when I'm tired, and I sleep when I mean, I rest when I'm tired, excuse me, and wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and when you meet people, see, a mentor, my definition, A mentor is someone that has been where you are and is where you would like to
To
be.
be
Or, it's like um, you can identify with them. See, someone who was born in a wealthy family cannot take someone who was born in a poor family on that path because they didn't follow that
they don't
path.
understand. They don't
Yeah.
understand.
But they can make more money, but they don't because they don't know what that's like. They didn't experience it. So none of you're not for everybody, and I'm not for everybody.
Right.
That's why we talk. So people go, oh my gosh, yes. And they go, oh, that Al, that's happened to me, Al. And then now they because I identify with you. That's why you have a piece of the puzzle. And that's why people
It's
say, well, I
true.
don't work with you. Well, because maybe I might just have the piece of the puzzle that you've been looking for. I just might, you know. But we all are together in this big ocean. All of us are drops in an ocean. And are we the ocean?
Literally.
Yes.
Yes.
But that's what makes us all one. Because the ocean wouldn't be the ocean if it wasn't for all of us drops in the ocean. You see?
True. I mean,
So
we're like 75% water anyhow.
exactly. Yeah. So we could go on for hours because I've got so many other thoughts in my head, but this has been just really fantastic. Thank you so much, Al.
Absolutely. And I just want to thank you so much, Mr. Vangelis, to just stopping by the Next Gen Talk and sharing with us some enlightened words of wisdom regarding the mind, the body, the soul, the spirit, and most importantly, letting go of those limits and beliefs, guys. Those thought process that you were trained, you've been conditioned ever since you were a kid about, oh, you can't do this, you can't go here, you can't do this, you can't do that. Now you're an adult, you realize, you know what? I literally been living my life in a box of protection. Now I need to actually break through that box. And how do you do that? You actually reach out and talk to people, get the right mentorship to actually assist you throughout that process and understand that it takes time and these things don't happen overnight, but nevertheless, you have to keep doing it. And understand one thing also, the discipline side of things is something that comes naturally within ourselves as human beings. If you're disciplined enough to get up in the morning to go to work, to maintain yourself in a relationship, to go to the gym every day, to eat a certain kind of food every day, I'm sure you can have that same discipline within yourself when it comes down to helping yourself become the best you. And I think that's life. That's what life is all about. We all want to be happy, and happiness is what we're put in this world to do. Obviously, it takes some sacrifices, but nevertheless, having love for yourself, love for your family, love for the people and things around you that make you wholesome again. You don't want to be saying, "Oh, because I'm in my 20s or I'm in my 30s, I'm old, I can't do this." Don't say that to yourself, man. You're not old. If you're in your 50s, you're not old. You're not. You're still young in mind, body, soul, and spirit. So get up, get out there, guys. Be inspired, stay blessed. And again, I want to thank you so much, Mr. Vangelis, for being on board and just shining some light and stopping by the Next Gen Talk today, sir. Do you have any last words for my listening members?
No, well, I guess just to keep watching the podcast from Al because I'm sure he's going to have more things and for you with other ideas and concepts. And remember, everybody has a piece of the puzzle. So just keep listening in and something will resonate with you.
Absolutely. Like I said, guys, thank you so much, Mr. Vangelis, for being on board. Hit the drop down button, like, share, subscribe, follow. I will have some more exciting content just like this for you guys. All right. Again, thank you so much for being on board. Thank you, YouTube families, Spotify family. Thank you guys, and stay great.